You wanna turn me off. You wanna flip the switch. I wanna break the lock. I know what makes you tick. We used to be so young and free. Yeah, baby, don't treat me like a machine. I could still be just what you need. No, baby, don't treat me like a machine. Wanna go to your apartment, take it back to where we started. We'll be everything you wanted, you wanted, you wanted. And I know it could be perfect, and I know it would be worth it. We'll be everything you wanted. You wanted, you wanted. You wanted, you wanted. It's driving us apart. The way we never speak. I'll fix your broken parts and make you feel complete. We used to be so young and free. Yeah, baby, don't treat me like a machine. I could still be just what you need. No, baby, don't treat me like a machine. We used to be so young and free. Yeah, baby, don't treat me like a machine. I could still be just what you need. No, baby, don't treat me like a machine. Wanna go to your apartment, take it back to where we started. We'll be everything you wanted, you wanted, you wanted. And I know it could be perfect, and I know it would be worth it. We'll be everything you wanted, you wanted, you wanted, 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 you wanted, 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 you wanted, 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 you
A real clockwork soldier.
Generation Orange in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Generation Orange show. My name is Edson Ochoa, and today we also have our other host back, Sean Ringrose. Welcome back, Sean.
Yeah, thanks. It's been an excruciatingly long past 2 weeks. I am glad to be home and back, and before 8 o'clock tonight. Actually, I was actually home at 5 o'clock today, 5:30 ish. No, I was home before 5 because I left there at 3:30 today, so I was home by 4:45, which was fantastic. Had time to sit down, do a little bit of work before the end of the day, and then just kind of hang out and get some stuff done that needed to get done around here. As you can see, I cleaned off some of the counter, some, not much. Anyways, yeah, that's real riveting radio right there. Real riveting podcast audio right there.
So you guys are probably wondering why we're on YouTube this time and not on KTXF. Well, it's a long story.
Blame Sam. That's our new hashtag.
Blame Sam.
That's going to be a consistent. Just that. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So the broadcast software that we use for audio output to the stream for KTXF is Sam Broadcaster, and it has given us nothing but problems, I think, since day one. This includes when we were with the Peel and trying to get it to work with the Peel stuff too. Justin could never get it to work exactly 100% right week after week. And this week it just literally, and it wasn't audio related this week. It was software related and licensing related, and it has nothing to do with the station, and yet it doesn't want to work. So we're kind of like, whatever. I'm at that point where, quite frankly, if we'll find another way to do this, and this may be the way we go. It's not the way I'd like to go long term, but we got to do what we got to do. I mean, it's important for us to get a chance to talk to you guys, and it's important for you guys to get a chance to talk to us and let your voice be heard. And speaking of letting your voice be heard, this week the phone lines are open and they are live. That number is
956-622-5977. Once again, 956-622-5977.
What he said,
yes,
but without the flub in the middle. That'd be good. And call in with your hot takes, your whatever you guys have that you want to talk about. We are game to talk about it. There is plenty to talk about this week. I created some very quick notes because, frankly, I didn't have time to create anything more. But we've got maybe 3 or 4 topics to talk about this week, and they could take an entire show. But Edson and I know from experience that when you guys call and you guys talk to us and you guys talk about what you want to talk about, the show invariably goes a lot smoother. It's just a lot. I don't know. The best way to put it is we don't have to struggle to come up with what we're talking about. It's you guys tell us what you want to talk about, and we just talk about it. And there are quite a few good things to talk about this week. Let's quick run down the things that we've kind of put on tap to talk about this week. The first, of course, is probably the best 2 things to happen this weekend, which is number one, the Dynamo won on Friday. And I needed that win probably more than anybody in that state. Well, not anybody in that stadium, but most of the people in that stadium Friday night. I was originally not thinking I was going to be able to go. And I ended up getting off at 4:30, 5 o'clock Friday. Got back here about 5:30, laid down for about 10 minutes and went, wait a second, there's a Dynamo match tonight. I can still make the Dynamo match if I leave in the next 15, 20 minutes. So I went ahead and left and went to the match. And I got to hang out with Cisco, which was fantastic. Speaking of, can you tweet Cisco so he doesn't have an excuse not to listen in?
Sure.
Hung out with Cisco and a few of his friends, and the season ticket holders in 102 are just fantastic, especially the ones right around us. We're kind of a family at this point, and man, it was just giving up that first goal that hurt, but we also knew we were still in the match. Like, you never felt like the Dynamo were out of that match, even being down a goal for so long, and then they get that equalizer, and it's like, all right, game on now. And you felt like NYCFC, maybe they're going to score, but they didn't. And the Dynamo go on to notch 2 goals as soon as Cabezas comes in within like 10 seconds. I mean, it was maybe it was a little more than that, but it felt like, oh, here comes Cabezas. Oh, look, the Dynamo just scored. It was like literally as soon as he came on the pitch, the next possession was a goal.
Yes.
Now credit Boney for having the forethought to apply that pressure to the defender and forcing the turnover. But at the same time, I mean, we were talking about this in the stadium, and it's like Cabezas coming on allows Boney to push higher up the pitch. It allows Boney that opportunity to push and pressure the opposing defenders. You can see it. So if you think back to last season when the Dynamo were strongest, what were they doing early in matches? They were applying super high pressure, and what it was we had 5, 6, 7 guys up top. Well, not 7. We had 4 or 5 guys in the attack with Cabezas in the bottom 4 just kind of hanging out behind.
Yeah.
And because they can have those 5 players at the back, knowing that they're going to be solid defensively, it freed up both of our center mids that are not the DM to push higher up the pitch. And when you have 2 attacking mids up higher up the pitch, that creates mismatches real quick. And we saw it Friday. I mean, it was crazy, and it was wonderful at the same time because we're getting back to that style again as Cabezas is going to come back more and more. The other thing to talk about this week, or other things to talk about this week are, let's not forget the Dynamo have Open Cup coming up next week. And on top of that, we have 2 matches this week, and both are away. That sucks. So we play, who do we play on Wednesday?
We play Real Salt Lake.
RSL in Rio Tinto, and then we play Montreal in Montreal.
Yes.
And then we come here and we play, well, we being the collective we of the Dynamo /RGV, come here and play North Texas Rayados here.
Yes.
On next Wednesday, I believe. So in 7 days, that's literally 3 matches in 7 days. Now, granted, we're talking about the Dynamo probably not going to play their starters all 3 matches. We're probably going to space some players out. So Cabezas is coming back. Perfect opportunity for him to get 60 to 70 minutes in a match. I expect his match comes on Saturday. I think they let him rest this match after playing in the last one for 20, 30 minutes. I think they let him trot out for a full. Either that or Wilmer lets him start this match, play the first half, and then subs him off at half to let him rest a little, and then plays him again Saturday to get him back to match fitness. One of those 2 things is going to happen. And then, and so then the question is Eric Alexander, Darwin Sarin, who's going to start, who's going to sit. You're looking at between Beasley's going to start one of these 2 matches. I think Lundqvist may possibly get a start in one of these 2 matches because that's rough on an old guy like Beasley.
Yes.
We know Machado, so who's playing right back? I have no idea. Is Remick back? I hope. God knows we need a right back because we don't have one. Fuenmayor can play outside back.
You might see Kai Green.
Possibly. You might see Kai Green get a call-up. That would be interesting, although I think we would have seen that by now. He would already be having to practice with the team, and we would have seen somebody tweet something about that, I would imagine. I say that, but, we also know media coverage of the Dynamo, well, it's crap.
Yes.
And so
now that
Corey is in
gone.
Tennessee. Yeah, rip Corey.
The reason
we
I
miss
mentioned
you already, bro.
And the reason I mentioned Kai Green is because, like I told you before we went live, RGV does not play until Monday, next Monday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it works out.
As well as Manny Padilla has done a great job.
And Quintanilla could get a opportunity as like a trialist.
Well, I've heard some mentions, rumors,
rumbles,
that the Dynamo are putting their eyes on Alo Quintanilla.
I'm not the way he's playing right now. You can't blame him.
Yeah, from what I heard is like they're gonna be more cautious as far as like, for example, just grabbing players. Like the differences from last year.
So wait, hold on. Wait. So what we were talking about last week on down in the RGV, down in the Valley, is literally what's happening, which is that the Dynamo are taking a better approach to overall handling of players.
That's what I was been told.
So what you're saying, I just want to clarify this for anybody who's listening that was listening to Wednesday's, or was that Tuesday that week?
It was actually on Thursday's
podcast last week. That our Thursday show, that everything we talked about, that as much as I ripped the club, they're making strides to at least attempt to be better about that.
Yes.
That's important to note because it shows that the organization is listening. Because they're not as much flack as I give this organization, they're listening. That's good. That's a good thing. Okay, you can continue. Sorry.
Yeah, and so that means we'll see who they grab for the Open Cup.
But we have to remember too. We still have Memo and Mac who can both start, which is good because those are cover players. We have Bird who will start as well, most likely. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, it's either going to be one of Sarin or Alexander. I think Sarin gets a start in this one.
Well, is he back from injury? Has he been released from the injury?
He's got a week. He'll be fine.
Okay,
it's a week.
Yeah.
Then Remick. I think they probably hope Remick is back for Open Cup, so they'll play him so they can rest Bees. And like you said, probably Kai Green at right back makes the most sense at this point, unless they
Jorginho James maybe.
Jorginho James at DM could be a possibility. Wingers, we definitely need to get somebody in, so they're going to call up a couple of guys for that.
If anything, they will probably call Chewy.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I'm just
which means that if they do call Chewy for Open Cup, that means we'll probably see Team Monday back on the lineup. And God forbid, John Montaño.
Tell me how you really feel. We're good at keeper, obviously, because Sites can start the Open Cup match, and it won't be a big deal.
And then you also got Michael Nelson.
Michael Nelson, always available, which is good. And then who else? Man, that's a rough center back. With Senderos not healthy. Mm-hmm. You're talking a center back pairing of Fuenmayor and Leonardo for 3 straight matches in 7 days.
Or because Jacob and I were analyzed this. Yeah. Okay. So we might actually see Connor and Kyle Adams being called up.
I could see Kyle Adams called up and playing left back.
Which means
we'll
for the Real Monarchs match that we have on Monday. we might see a pairing of Omar Ontiveros and Robert Castellanos. Which could, yeah.
So that was the same pairing that we saw in the preseason match, right? In the second half or second, whatever 30-minute period that was.
So interesting to note that it appears that RGB, I guess, has been trying to test like that because they had their friendly against the FC Brownsville Coyotes. And it looks like maybe for the LA Galaxy 2 might be the defense, not including Watts or Lundqvist.
Oh, that's another one that they could call up as Jared Watts. Yeah, I forgot about him.
Not including those, that might be the defense we'll see against
Monarchs.
Real Monarchs,
Yeah.
which leaves players like Kyle Adams and Connor Donovan, available to go over
and
there.
Kyle Adams being available would actually be a really good move by the Dynamo to bring him up even for just 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever it may be, because that's a situation where he can cover multiple positions along the back line for you, that would be huge. In my opinion, that would be huge. And while Kyle Adams is still not that leadership guy, that vocal guy on the back line, his capabilities as an outside back to me far outweigh my concerns about his lack of vocal leadership.
Yeah, because when you're playing as a right back or the backs, you don't really need leadership. That is the role of your center backs.
Well, don't tell that to Beasley.
There's always exceptions, but that's because of all of his experience.
Absolutely. I mean, and every player on that pitch respects Beasley because of his experience and because of how long he's played at such a high level. I mean, you don't play that long at a high level. What am I missing?
Callow says Callow Adams.
Callow Adams. Yeah, totally, Callow. You're starting, right? That's what we've determined out of that.
Yeah, you're gonna be an RGV now. Is that what's going on?
Hey, you heard it here. That's breaking news, folks. Callow is starting. Let's see what else. So we have the Dash match to talk about as well. The Dash beat the Washington Steers.
We have a new MLS team for next year.
We haven't got there yet. Give me a second. So the Dash won. Daly had a brace. NWSL Player of the Week, which is impressive in and of itself. 3-2. It was not our best defensive effort, but it was a high-powered offensive effort.
Hey, right now we'll take the 3 points however we can get them.
Well, I'd rather not take the 3 points and still have Christy Mewis next week. Christy Mewis is out with a knee injury for the remainder of the season.
I saw that.
That sucks. So that we got to talk about that. And then, as you said, MLS is announced. Today was the big announcement. Callow says he loves Edinburgh.
And Edinburgh loves you too.
The big announcement today is 2019 FC Cincinnati will be the latest MLS expansion club. So what does that mean? There's I mentioned this to you when you came in, and your eyes went wide because that's a very real concern now. Is when you have two clubs coming in 2019, which I know that Cincy's coming in 2019 because it said it in the tweet, and then you said you believe Nashville's coming in 2019. If we have two clubs coming in 2019, here's what that means: we are likely to lose one player. There's not a player on this roster that, frankly, I'm comfortable losing at this point. Yes. We can only protect, I believe, 11, 12, or 13 players. I'm not sure what the exact number is. There are a couple of players that will be automatically protected. That is Elise Memo because he's a homegrown. Tyler, because he's technically still a homegrown, will be protected, which we don't have to spend a protection on him. He's just automatically protected. And I think Kai Green might fall under that if he has an MLS contract at that point. Oh yeah, and Kaleo Ohai is up for goal of the week. Forgot about that.
So be sure to vote on Twitter.
Yes. Go put your votes in now. We'll pause. No, I'm just kidding. We'll pause for 5 minutes to let you go vote. No, I'm just kidding. We'll keep going. You guys can listen. But it opens up a world of possibility in terms of who do the Dynamo protect? If you can only protect 13 players, and I went through this in my head and I came up with my 13. And my 13, I don't think you'll have any arguments with anybody on my 13. I am scared. Not scared, but I am concerned because there are positions that we have brought players in, whether it's this year or last year, that are not those players that were brought in may not be protected going into this offseason. That's a scary proposition. So we'll hit that here probably in the second hour. And also, we're gonna hit up some pro rel talk because it has become something on Twitter apparently. Thanks, Grant Wall. Thanks, the ever indomitable Grant Wall. What are those? Those look great. Those are cookie things.
Yes, they're sugar cookies
cinnamon
from
sugar
Mexico.
type
Yes.
things. Yeah, nice. So we'll talk about pro rel in the second hour. And Callow, I am tagging you, man. I'm calling you out. It is your time to shine. Talking about what you got some clarity on the subject, and it's some good clarity. And I liked what you had to say in the Discord chat. So I'm calling you out to call us for the second hour when you get off at 8 and off on call at 8, I should say. And trust me, dude, I've been there on call. I know how it is. So anyway, that's the show we've got packed up for you right now. If you guys call in and call us with a new topic, we will happily, gladly take it. And just so everybody knows what I've been doing the last 2 weeks and why I'm so exhausted, I have been deployed out to Santa Fe ISD. I've been working in their administration building with their administration. The software product that I am the product manager for is the software that is currently being used or web platform that is being used for the SantaFeUpdates.com website. And I helped maintain that website the last couple of weeks. I've helped them get out press releases. I've helped them draft press releases. I've helped them manage inquiries, media requests, interview requests. You name it, I've pretty much done it this last 2 weeks. And, I had the weekend off, which was great. I needed it. I desperately needed it. At that point, I think I'd worked 7 days straight, and I was about as bleary-eyed as I could be. And I ended up just binging a bunch of, actually I binged Critical Role, which, by the way, if you're a D&D nerd like me, Critical Role is the most amazing thing in the world. But it was much needed. But I say all that to say this. One of the things that I saw this week, and it was true across all Houston sports teams, and so that didn't surprise me, was the support shown for Santa Fe and the Santa Fe kids and the Santa Fe teachers and staff and law enforcement out there. But if there's one thing that I take away from this experience and this opportunity, it is that the city of Houston, the community of Houston in general, is like no other. Houstonians will drop everything they are doing to come and support you in your time of need. When somebody in our community is hurting, people step up. And you can't say that about everywhere. There are places that just doesn't happen. People are in their own little bubble. But here in Houston, you're a Houstonian, you better believe people are going to find a way to help you out. And the outpouring of support for Santa Fe, the students, the ISD, the staff, the law enforcement officers, the parents, the community in general, it is best exemplified in the fact that students from other school districts this morning lined the street leading to the high school and held up posters and signs and waved and balloons and flowers and stuff to just show the kids that, you're not in this alone. You don't have to be in this alone. We're here for you. We're here with you. We'll get through this. It seems like a small thing to community people, right? To people that are that's what they do. But it makes such a big deal for these kids because they've had a week without school, a week to think about everything that's happened, and they're trying to deal with it and trying to kind of get through it. And in talking to different people there during this thing, it's really interesting because I've heard, and I can say this pretty assuredly, that really you don't start to really heal. We think of like the brain and we don't think about how it heals, but from a traumatic experience, especially like that, the brain takes about a month to heal. And it's like a physical injury. It's like a bruise on the brain. It takes a month to heal. It takes a month to start healing. You see the bruise, when you bruise yourself, you see it and you watch and you see it change colors and all that throughout the time that it's healing, but you don't see what's going on underneath. And the stuff that's going on underneath is what's happening with the brain. It's healing, it's repairing itself, it's fixing itself. But during that healing time, it's a nightmare because kids are waking up with the sound of shots. Kids are waking up with the sound of that fire alarm going off. Kids are waking up with the sound of people screaming in the hallways. We don't think about the trauma of what's happened. And so I say all of that to say this. If you have an opportunity to support anything, but especially this, in any way possible, whether it's going to buy a T-shirt and that the donations are going, proceeds are going to donate to the Santa Fe Texas Education Fund Foundation. Whether it's you go out there and you are helping serve meals for donations, whether it's you going out there and, you know, just standing on the side of the road and waving and helping kids feel better about things, whether it's you've been out there for 2 weeks and serving however you can, whether it's you're providing food and meals for parents and families, as the case may be, whether it's you go up to a church and you help with a car wash, a fundraiser, whatever it is, you have the opportunity to do it. It is the best thing for you to do it. It's because those things help with the healing process. We may not see the effect of it from the outside looking in, but as someone who has been on the inside looking out, I can tell you right now, it helps. It makes a huge difference. And not just for the students, but also for the faculty and staff. It makes a huge difference. It helps them get back to regular. You never get back to normal, but you get back to regular a lot faster. And so that was my 5-minute rant. Thank you for letting me have it, because I needed to say it for 2 weeks, and I just haven't had a chance to really sit down and say it. But seriously, there's nothing better that you can do right now than support what's going on out there. There are definitely some people in need right now. Kudos to our local media. I called this out on Twitter, but kudos to our local media in general. While they have had their moments, they've also been very good about making sure to verify accurate and get accurate information. If it was a rumor, they told you it was a rumor. That doesn't happen in any other city. When the news, and all I have to do is look at the national media. When there was something that was a rumor, national media picked it up and ran with it. There were questions about whether all of the shots that potentially killed people came from the shooter. And the answer to that is emphatically, undeniably, they all came from the shooter. But they can't say that, right? So it's one of those things, we talk about the perception, we talk about what gets said. Public relations says that you have to be careful with what you say, especially in an incident like this, because you can't go on record and say, oh yeah, we know for sure, and then something later comes up and puts into question, well, then you're on record saying, yeah, oh yeah, definitely for sure. But I can tell you, I know pretty much for sure that that's the case. Like, I can not 100%, because I can't be 100%. I haven't seen autopsy results or anything, but I can say it pretty solidly. Law enforcement didn't kill anybody. But the national media ran with that. So I look at it from the local level. The local guys were like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Literally, we had local news people calling us and being like, why are they reporting this? Is there any truth to this? And we'd be like, no. Okay, good. Thank you for letting us know. We want to go on record and let them know that it's not true. Like, they were all about backing up, what
I really would have to call out in a good way KQ.
Oh, yeah.
They always had their segments they listed like some of the most recent rumors.
Yeah.
And they'd go and say, okay, well, this we could verify.
They had the board with
we
the
verified this, or this is still.
Yeah, this is a report. This is verified, and
this is just blatant false.
Exactly. And I saw that, and it wasn't just them, but there were a few different stations doing that. And as someone who is in this industry, the response and incident industry, it is very common to see people jump to conclusions, and it was so refreshing to see that not happening. Now, it still happened at the national level, and it's always going to happen at the national level because you get ratings, and you get dipwads that don't know what they're doing. But to see it at the local level, and for them to be so vigilant about it, it really was refreshing, because I've dealt with it on the other side, and I know it can be terrible. And so just kudos to our local media and on that. And, if they could just do the same thing with the Dynamo and Dash, it'd be great. Okay, so we've talked now for 30 minutes about what we're going to talk about. Now it's time to actually talk about what we're going to talk about. So let's start with the Dynamo match. Dynamo took on
New York City FC.
Thank you. I totally blanked. I said going into this match, Dave, and I didn't say it on here, but I said it to Cisco. I'm giving Villa credit. He's going to get his. It's just he's David Villa. He's going to score a goal. And if it's not a goal, he's going to score an assist. Like, the guy is going to score something. Yeah. Points are going to be his. And his goal, while Eric Alexander should have cleared that ball a whole lot better than he did, his take on that ball, on that volley, oh my God, it was beautiful. Like, he scored, and I just sat back and went, I can't be upset about that goal. That was such a good shot. Yes.
I put an equal blame, I believe it was Machado, because both Alexander and Machado were like right there at the same spot.
I think it was Fuenmayor, actually. Fuenmayor was a little high, was up with Alexander when it happened. Machado was out wide.
Well, whoever it was, they were on their own same zone, and they did not see that David Villa was
Yeah.
like in the outskirts of the.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, here's the thing, right? If Alexander clears that ball like he should, it's not an issue. And you know, it was frustrating because it happened right in front of me, which is even worse. Because we're watching this unfold, and as soon as that ball got headed by Eric Alexander, and I saw it was short, I went, "Oh shit!" And that literally was exactly what I said. And I was like, "Oh, this is not going to be good." And then he turned. I mean, the take he took though was world class. I mean, there was no keeper in the world that was getting to that ball.
No.
He put it perfectly in the bottom corner. He had the goalkeeper already the other direction. It was just, Joe had no chance at it. But barring that, I thought our defense actually played pretty solid. Great, no, but solid, yes. They had their moments, which every defense in MLS does, and I wish people would realize that. You're not going to get a rock-solid defense unless you're SKC, and you're paying $1.75 million between all your defenders. It may not be quite that much. It might be like
It was Machado.
Was it Machado?
It was Machado because Fuenmayor was in the 6-yard box, and he was marking an NYCFC
Was he
attacker.
marking Maxi Rodriguez or not Maxi? Yeah, Maxi Morales. He was marking somebody in the box. I remember.
Number 9.
Yeah, I think that was Maxi. Yeah.
No, because Maxi's
No,
number 10.
Maxi's the little short one.
Yeah, and he's number 10.
9 is Kyrie Shelton. No, Kyrie Shelton is playing for somebody else now. Who the heck is number 9? You'll look it up and find it for us.
Yes.
But regardless of all that, but that's also one of those things that becomes problematic. There you go. Yeah. Oh, that's right. That jerk off. I can't stand that guy. He's the white bald guy, right? Yeah. God, I can't stand that guy. He's worse than Ibra. And I love Ibra, but this guy is just a jerk. Ibra's like a jerk, but he's like a fun jerk, And then this guy's just a jerk. Like, nobody likes him except for NYC fans.
Yeah.
But that's one of the problems, though, you run into in terms of defensive stability, in terms of man marking in the box, in terms of marking during crosses and service into the box. You end up with a little bit of confusion about where players are supposed to be when you play players out of position, and out of necessity, we're having to play Machado out of position, and it sucks that we conceded a goal. But credit to the Dynamo, they didn't stop attacking, they didn't stop going forward. It looked like for a little bit there that they kind of let it get mentally to them a little bit. And then they just kind of pulled themselves out of the rut and they went, we're better than this. That first goal that we scored, credit to Kyoto. That service was on a freaking silver platter for Fuenmayor.
Yes.
Oh, man. As soon as he crossed that ball and I saw where Fuenmayor was in the air, credit to Fuenmayor, he attacked the hell out of that header. Like, it wasn't just him, jumping up and hitting it. He ran to that ball and hit it. Keeper had no chance. Sean Johnson just had zero chance at it. But that had just the whole set piece was just beautiful. I want more set piece play like that. It was picture perfect. And I've wanted that for so long now. Since we stopped having that as our expertise thing. And Kyoto's not known for his service into the box necessarily, but that was picture perfect. I mean, literally picture perfect. You can't get better than that.
Like, it just floated in the air.
There wasn't a player near Fuenmayor. It just credit. You can tell they've worked on it in practice. You can tell that Kyoto is comfortable taking set pieces like that. I mean, if he's not scoring, he's assisting. We were all concerned about who was going to take set pieces this year. Hey, look, Kyoto stepped up and said, I'll freaking take these, and I got this, y'all. And he's doing it. He's freaking doing it. That goal, I was so pleased. So very, very pleased.
I think also the fact, that we actually, in Fuenmayor, we actually have somebody that can, make goals out of crosses.
2 goals in,
yes.
What is it, 2 goals in 3 matches? 2 goals in 2 matches? No.
Yeah, because the first one was at LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
And then this one against NYCFC.
Yeah, so 2 goals in 3
and
matches.
Both of them came from a free kick by Kyoto.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They've been practicing it. You can tell they've been practicing it. And now, granted, the first one Fuenmayor had was a to the feet. But I mean, when you serve it to the head like that, I mean, and just like I said, it was just picture perfect. I mean, he couldn't do anything but score unless it had gone way over the goal. I mean, that would be the only other or into the ground. And then there was the second goal that we scored, which I'll be honest, was that the one that in the run of play that went to, no, that was the one that Boney got. That was the second goal. Cabezas comes on as a sub for, who did he come on for? Did he come on for Kyoto? Is that who he came on for?
No, let me tell you right now. He came on for Eric Alexander.
Ah, yes, he came on for the guy that surrendered the first goal. Right, that guy. He subbed on, and it was literally the next. NYC started with the ball. They cycled it back to their keeper. He pushed it up to the defender. Boney charged, and Boney intercepted the ball, or actually took the ball from the defender's feet.
Yeah.
Ran past him and then passed to a wide open Tomas in the box, who smooth finish. I mean, it wasn't a great finish, but it was exactly.
It had the job.
It was very cool. It was crisp enough that it did exactly what it needed to do. It did the job. Yeah. And Tomas took it well in the box. He stayed cool and collected. He didn't get overwhelmed by the moment. So that was the second goal. And let me just say, the third goal was fantastic as well. Yes, absolutely. And
hashtag Memo knows, make it viral.
Memo came on, and he played well. He did play well, which is not a surprise. He's always played well when he comes on. But yet again, we see another later goal that happens when Memo's on the field late in a match. Mm-hmm. Super sub personified. And the reason I say this, and the reason this is important, is we haven't had one of those in a while. Now, I say that. I mean, we had, Vicente Sanchez last year, who was a super sub. But we've never had a young super sub. So to have Memo at his young age be a super sub, that's good. That means we have a kid that theoretically, if we keep him around for a few more years, well, we will, because he's a homegrown, so we should.
Yes.
But he's a player that has the opportunity to continue to be that type of player for years and years and years to come. I don't know if he's quite starter quality yet in terms of MLS starter quality, but there's no reason he can't be it can't be a player in the 18 every week.
Yeah, he's still young.
Absolutely.
We talked about that last time when we were talking about RGV. That he's still young. He's still 22.
Yeah.
So he's still at a ripe age to continue to develop.
Well, so I want you to think about this for just a second. He's the same age as Albert Elise. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
That shows you how scary good Albert Elise is. That's crazy to me. Like you don't think about it when you're watching them play. Mm-hmm. Elise just plays with that maturity that at 20 you just don't realize he's 22.
So while listening to the broadcast on Univision Deportes from the game, one of the commentators mentioned that what's his name? I think it was Carlos Pavon. Mm-hmm. Would talk about Albert Elise in a way like, yes, he's really good, and he's still got a lot of things to mature to become an elite player for the Honduran national team. He says one of the things that he's got to work on, obviously, his finishing, and number two is yes, he goes around players, but when a player comes in, looking to foul him, he needs to learn how to take the foul better, because right now, he's young. Obviously, he'll just shrug it off. Yeah. But once he gets older, it'll start to have a bigger effect on his body.
Well, he does. There are times, and I think he's learning it. You see where a player comes in hard, and he will go down. And I think there are times that he gets the rap by being Central American that he's a flopper, when in reality he gets hard checked and hard fouled more often than I think most MLS elite strikers do and elite wingers do. You watch the game. He was hard checked. There was definitely a point where he was hard checked, and I'm sitting there going, "Come on, ref, what are you gonna do?" And the ref's just like, no, it was just a foul. And Elise takes a lot of knocks and bumps and bruises throughout the season, and it's a credit to him that he hasn't been as injured as he could be. I knocked on wood. That you saw me do that. Yeah. And there are players that are just built for that are built like that are just, they're rocks. That's not to say that he can't get injured. He was injured last year for a few weeks, but he also.
But wasn't that from fatigue from the national team?
It was. I think he strained something too. Mm-hmm. It was fatigue and he strained something. But. He's just a player that you're going to get 100% week in, week out. And if he picks up a knock, he's not gonna pick up a small injury and use it to take a week off. If anything, he's gonna pick up a small injury and it just pushes him to try harder. And he's becoming a team leader, right? You see it on goals. When another player scores a goal, he is one of the first people in that celebration with him.
Yeah.
He loves when his teammates score goals, and that's a leader. And when he scores a goal, you see everybody rallying around him and just showering him with love.
Mm-hmm.
What is the?
You're listening to Down in the Pro Rail.
We haven't even started that, bro. Come on.
So we got a couple of things that came out in the chat, and we'll talk about that later, Jeff. So Sloth asks if Kyle Adams is going to the Dynamo. There's nothing concrete as of yet. We'll have to see as the Open Cup match gets nearer, and if anything, we'll post it on our social media, whether Gen Orange Radio or down in the RGV. Jeff also mentions, is anybody else concerned at how long Remek's concussion protocol is going? Granted, he shouldn't be rushed back, but for as long as it's gone, I'm concerned if it's career ending.
I can definitely, I want to talk about that for a second, because I can definitely understand where he's coming from. And we're talking 2-3 months into the season now, and he's still going through concussion protocol. Now, I think some of that is honestly the team taking it very, very slow with him. I do think some of it is he took a pretty damn hard hit, and it was a big deal. And those are not, you're not necessarily quick coming back from those, but other than that, let's give the guy through the summer before we make any kind of statement like that. And to be fair, if he's going to retire, he'll retire, or he'll go to another team. I think that ties into the expansion draft talk later. We'll talk about that later. But the other thing that was said in here was about Kyoto talk in the Honduran articles, the Honduran papers.
Yes.
There's no situation with Kyoto. What that is just, he, as we said last week and 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Kyoto is who he is. He's going to tell us, he's going to speak his mind. He doesn't care how it reflects on him or the team. He's just going to say how he feels. And he's frustrated at certain times about certain things. And he's going to tell the media that. And it may just be for a moment. It may be for a couple of weeks. But he's really not that frustrated right now. Mm-hmm. He's having the time of his life right now. And he said, I love playing for the Dynamo. I love playing in Orange. I love playing in Houston. I love playing with my brothers. And it shows. And, look, if this is the last season with Kyoto and he's going to play like this through the rest of the season because he knows he gets an opportunity somewhere else, okay, fine, so be it. But I have a feeling Kyoto's sticking around long term, and I'm totally okay with that. He's the type of player that, like I said before, he's a personality. He's a guy that he's got that attitude, he's got that swag, he's got that fire, and I want guys with that fire, with that desire to win. And if that's if it takes having to have a little bit of an arrogant, a little bit of a occasionally a jerky player, then so be it. It comes as a package. You don't get one without the other. Look at Ibra. But at the same time, there's nothing going on with Kyoto. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Honduran articles and Central American media in general tend to blow things up.
And they lack professionalism.
And they do. And they'll blow things out of proportion just for the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and it seems, and I was talking to my dad about it while we were in Mexico, because we saw that article, and one of the things that we kind of seen, it seems like they've already, like they say in Spanish, ya agarraron a su puerquito.
I have no idea what the heck.
So basically, they're picking on Romel Kyoto because they know they'll get a reaction out of him.
Oh yeah,
and because of that, they'll get the ratings.
Absolutely, they'll get the views, the eyeballs to their article because they're talking about a player that is likely to respond to that in a negative way. Mm-hmm. And there are players in the NBA like that. There are players in the NFL like that. There are players in soccer like that. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, so Kyoto actually came out on record for Golazo over there in Honduras, and he says, I can assure you that I don't know where the situation came from or where it was invented. I'm real comfortable. I'm just doing my job, fighting to do the right things with the team. I have never had any problem with any fan, neither in Houston or in other cities in the United States. My total focus is on the Houston Dynamo games, and the proof of that are the results that we've had recently.
Absolutely, you can't argue with that last line. The proof is in how they're playing right now. I mean, if his focus was somewhere else, he wouldn't be playing at the level he's playing at. Okay, so let's do this. Let's actually take a break because we didn't take one the first 40 minutes of this episode, which is crazy. Let's take a break, mostly because I want to eat a couple of cookies and I need to drink some more water. And I need to stand up because my legs are already hurting just sitting here. So when we get back, we will continue to talk about Dynamo. We're going to shift into that expansion draft talk. I know you guys are just so excited about talking about that. But again, guys, before we go to break, if anybody has anything to talk about, and you guys are talking about stuff in YouTube chat, Jeff, I'm looking at you, man. If you guys want to call in, now's the time to call in. We don't have anybody on the lines. It's open and available for you. And I don't care what you have to say. You can go against what we think, what we believe, and quite frankly, I'm okay with that. You're allowed to have your own opinion. Just don't get butthurt when I talk to you about it. With that said, what's the phone number to call in?
956-622-5977. It is displayed right there on the screen. So
Nice.
Once again, 956-622-5977.
Again, guys, do call in. We definitely want to hear your takes. All right, break time.
When times are down, you know I'll be with you. Yeah, times are rough, this time I see it too. All this bullshit drama, I can see right through. Everybody wants something they can't have, so they gon' put it on you. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. Over the ocean, I can see us there. Let's run away and be forever young. We'll catch the sun where there's no need to run. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. 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 I see you and you see me too. We may be broke, but we see the truth. All this bullshit drama, I can see right through. Everybody wants something they can't have, so they gon' put it on you. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. Over the ocean, I can see us there. Let's run away and be forever young. We'll catch the sun where there's no need to run. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. Yeah, you can take me there. Yeah, you can take me there. Yeah, you can take me there.
And we're back. This is Generation Orange with your host, Sean Ringross,
Edson Ochoa.
and you're listening on, oh, wait, we're not on KTXF this week. You're listening on YouTube.
Yay! Live from Down in the Valleys YouTube channel.
Yes, absolutely. No, there's no special guest, RGVFC head coach Gershon Echeverry. That's not happening this week.
No,
I'm just kidding.
no.
I gotta have fun with you, man. I gotta have fun with you. So before we went to break, we were talking about the Dynamo. We were talking about the Dynamo match. We were talking about, Dylan Remick. We did talk a little bit, or we didn't talk about it, but I meant to talk about. We have two matches coming up. We've got RSL in Rio T, on Wednesday, and then on Saturday we have Montreal in Montreal. That's a busy week. So, anyways, we're talking about Remick, and the question came up, is anybody else concerned about Remick and his concussion protocol taking this long? And yes, I am to some extent, but I'm willing to give the guy a couple more months just because concussion protocol, if it's a serious concussion, can take a while. It doesn't have to be season ending just because it's this long. Could be the team is taking a very cautious approach. It could be that he's still displaying symptoms, which can happen. That doesn't mean his career is done. That doesn't mean his season's over. It just means he's taking time to come back. But it does bring up another point, and we mentioned this earlier. Today it was announced that FC Cincinnati would be joining MLS in 2019, actually starting to play in 2019. So that's two clubs starting play, two expansion clubs basically this coming season. That means that 10 players are going to be taken in the MLS expansion draft for 2018-19 season. We're going to be able to protect, I believe, anywhere between 11 to 13 players. That's not very many players, not very many at all. Which means that somebody that fans like is likely to leave the Dynamo this offseason. So we had two teams come in just last season, I believe. Last season? Yeah, last season. We had two teams come in last season. And we didn't actually lose anybody, which was good. I thought we might, but we didn't. But I do think we are likely to lose someone this offseason.
Yes.
To the expansion draft. So 13 players. I'm going to give us 13 players. I don't know if we actually get 13, but I'm going to give us 13 this time.
All right.
So two players that are automatically protected that we don't have to protect, Tyler Derrick and Memo Rodriguez. All right, you have 13 spots to fill available to you. All right, I'm going to write these down. Maybe. Oh, hey, there's nowhere to write them at. That's awesome. Give me that box. I'll write on that box. Yes, that's how desperate I am right now. Is there a pen over there? Because I don't. Yeah, there is a pen. Give me the pen. No, give me the Papermate. Papermate's the best. All right. Makeshift paper. Works great. Okay, I don't need that. All right. You're 13, sir. I'm going to keep track, and then I'll tell you who you're missing.
My 13.
Yes.
Obviously, Albert Elise.
Okay, Elise. That's a good one.
Elise.
That's a good start. You're starting off good.
Elise Kyoto Cabezas.
Okay.
I would protect, obviously, Fuenmayor.
Oh, man, I forgot about him. Okay. My 13 is going to be rough. Okay.
Machado.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, Machado.
Andrew Wenger.
Wanger. Oh, that's a surprise to me. Okay. You're gonna regret that one here in a little bit. You'll realize why soon enough. Okay. I'm not looking at the chat right now, guys. So if you do have something to say it in chat. No, just kidding. If you have something to say, call us. Just kidding. Call us.
How many do I have so
You
far?
currently have 6. You have 7 slots available for players. You don't even have a full squad yet, so keep going.
I would protect. Call me crazy, but I would protect Michael Nelson.
Michael Nelson. Okay, I could see that. That's not one I thought about, but I could see that. There's a player that you have not protected that I am kind of surprised you haven't protected at this point.
I'm
But
pretty sure you mean Eric Bird.
no, not at all. He scored a goal this week.
Tomas.
Yeah. Are you going to protect Tomas?
I think the way he's been progressing, I would actually protect
Okay.
Tomas Martinez.
All right. You got 5 more slots. 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. You got 5 more.
I'm going to have to go with obviously because of how much we paid for him, Adam Lundqvist.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Lundqvist. Okay. Defender. Winger. Okay. You got 4 slots left. Do you want a breakdown of positions you have currently?
Yes.
Okay. You have 2 central midfielders. You have 3 wingers. And you have 3 defenders and 1 goalkeeper. Right now you're playing a 3-3-3. Oh, sorry, a 3-2-3.
I'm going to have to go with
There's oh, okay, we said all right, so hold on. I'm going to put 14-15. Memo is protected and Derek is protected. That's important. Derek is protected. Okay, you got 4 slots left. 9. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 9. You got 4 slots.
Beasley.
Beasley. Okay, I can see that. Okay. All right, you got 3 slots left.
And I said Machado, right?
You already got Machado on here.
For Mayor.
Yep.
Is it Beasley? Even though he is 1 coming off of an injury and 2 his age,
AJ?
I would still protect AJ.
Okay. AJD, defender. So far, you've protected 5 defenders, 2 center mids, and 3 wingers.
Mauro Menottes
Morrow, that's a forward. Okay.
and Mac.
Max Steves, and that's a forward. Okay. I have to be honest with you. I don't disagree with many of your picks. There are 2 in particular that I disagree. Actually, there's 3.
All right.
Okay, so my list is Elise, Kyoto, Cabezas, Fuenmayor, Machado, Tomas, Lundqvist. Actually, there's 4 or 5 that I disagree with. Morrow and Mac. One of either Saren or Alexander. One of either Leonardo or Senderos. So that's 2 more than that you didn't have. That leaves me with Willis or Seitz because I don't feel like the team want to go the direction of having to start Derek next season because I don't think he's going to be done with his stuff by then. So I do think that may change a little bit. If Derek is not available for whatever reason due to his pending litigation things, then that opens up somebody. You're going to have to protect another GK besides Nelson. You can't expect Nelson to start next season.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say one of Seitz or Willis. So one of those. So that's 3 out of the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 that you had that I didn't agree with. So that's 3. So I have 1 more available to pick. And my final pick on that is, sorry, 1, 2, yeah, 4. My final pick is going to be it's going to be whoever they sign this middle of the season in the summer transfer window, because they're going to sign somebody in the summer transfer window. Got a good feeling about this one. So, yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
Well, okay. So let me explain why I actually don't have any info to back up my assertion.
Kylo's like, just option the entire team to RGV the last game of the year.
But we have playoffs. We can't do that with playoffs. Otherwise, I would agree completely with that strategy. That's a great strategy, Callo. We'll just forego the playoffs for 1 year in order to get the opportunity to protect everybody. Somehow, I don't think players are going to agree to that, but whatever. I may have to duck out for a few minutes to go take care of posting a press release. Yeah,
Okay.
I may have to do that here in a minute. So we'll hop off at the 8 o'clock hour and go for a 5-10 minute, because it should only take me 10 minutes to get that posted. Hold on, let me respond to this email real quick.
So interesting
you.
to point out. So we mentioned that it's Cincinnati and Nashville that are coming into the MLS for 2019. Hopefully, we run into the same luck as we did last offseason, in which the expansion teams did not choose any player from the Houston Dynamo.
Yeah.
But if the Dynamo continues to play well, then the Dynamo front office are really going to have to think about which 13 they're going to have to protect, because us as fans, it took us a while to come up with a list, and even then there were some, like, I felt to myself a little rushed, obviously because of time, and so.
But here's the thing, right? It's one of the downsides of having a young, talented team is that protecting only 13 players is actually not that easy. Now, granted, we were able to do it, but there are players on there that I don't have to protect, players that I would rather protect. Like, I would rather protect Bird over Beasley right now, because Beasley's age, I don't know how much longer he's actually going to play. Mm-hmm. Bird, I don't know how much longer he's going to play either, but it's going to be more than 2 or 3 years. And like I said, I mean, it's great that that you have Fuenmayor Machado on there, but one of those other 2 center backs is going to almost need to be protected, because you have no backup for injury concerns at center back. I mean, to be fair, you really can't when you're talking 13 players, but I just, it's one of those things. But
so my question to you right now.
Hold on. Before we get to that, write it down or keep it in the front of your mind. Mm-hmm. The reason why I feel very strongly the Dynamo are going to sign somebody in the summer transfer window coming up July 10th. The MLS is adding a new fund for teams to pull from. This is called the Youth Transfer Fund. This fund is for players that are young international players. Sounds like a DP, but it's not. Young international players, and they're going to offer up a significant portion of money available to these players, and they're not going to hit the salary budget the same way. They're going to be like a DP. So basically, it's like a 4th DP slot, but a young DP slot, specifically for young players.
What's the age limit on that?
I want to say 22, 23. Mm-hmm. So it would have been useful for Elise this year. Like, we could have used it on Elise, but it wasn't available at the time. Mm-hmm. But what that means is we have the funds to bring in another Elise type of player. And so I would not be surprised if we use those funds. Now, they're discretionary. They don't have to be used. But I know the Dynamo have been looking. The Dynamo have been actively searching. They have a player they want to get. Mm-hmm. And I think this player fits that perfectly. I don't think they ended up with one of the players they wanted, so they're going to go young. I'm okay with that. What they're doing so far, it's working. You can't argue with their results at this point. It's not perfect, but it's working. And so I just feel like we're going to have to protect an extra player that is not currently on our roster. And so we will readdress this come August after we've had our transfer window concluded. And we will talk about it then. But in the interim, let's go ahead and go to break. It is 8 o'clock. Oh, on the dot. I couldn't have done that any better if I tried. So we're going to go to break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. I got to go post a press release for Santa Fe ISD. What's up, y'all? Think about what you guys want to talk about. We seriously, phone lines are open. Call in, please. Callow, you have no excuse. It is now 8 o'clock. Your on-call shift has ended. You need to call in. Thanks. Edson will leave the number as I walk away.
The number is 956-622-5977. Once again, the number is 956-522-5977. And having said that, we'll be right back.
And we're back, man. That took me a second to press those buttons. And we're back. Yes, I posted a press release in literally under 5 minutes flat. Actually, yeah, 4 minutes actually is probably about how long that took me. Okay, so before we went to break, we were talking. Actually, first of all, you're listening to Generation Orange, a Houston Dynamo Dash, and generally Houston soccer podcast. Generally, so before we went to break, we were talking about expansion draft and the possibility of losing players. So, I think our 11 for the most part is probably pretty solid. One of Leonardo Senderos is probably gone, but we protect both CBs that way. So Fuenmayor and Machado, so that's okay. I do think one of Beasley or AJD are probably not protected. Probably AJD since he's coming off that knee injury. But I mean, I'd love for him to stick around, especially coming off that knee injury because I think he still has something left to prove.
If you can see the chat, we got a couple of them actually, list their 13.
Okay, read off. I want to hear a couple.
All
of these.
right, so
I want to know who
you're gonna love this one. It's Cisco.
Okay, that says it all.
His 13 is Elise, Kyoto,
Okay.
OBG.
Okay, yeah, Boney is another one that I would probably try to protect it with a slot. That's a very good one. I forgot about Boney.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot about Boney. You had an assist.
Tomas,
Okay.
Juan David Cabezas.
Oh, and let me just say before we go any further, Cisco was right. I had been harping hardcore on Boney. He hasn't. To me, he hadn't looked the same. He's improved significantly the last couple of matches, and I think his match this past week. I think he showed me a lot. He showed me that he still has it. I think he's just needed playing time, and his lack of playing time was hurting him. Anyways, continue.
Sure. And then, so I said, Fuenmayor,
Okay.
Beasley,
Okay.
AJD,
Okay.
Machado,
Okay.
Willis,
So the back line from last season, except for Fuenmayor. Okay, Willis.
Lundqvist,
Okay.
Morrow,
Morrow
and Wenger.
and Wanger. No Cabezas.
No, he said Cabezas.
Oh, he said Cabezas. Okay, so no Mac. No Mac Steves. He said Tomas. Okay, that's not a bad. That's not a bad 13.
Okay, and then this one is Blues,
Okay.
Willis, Machado,
Okay.
Lundqvist,
Okay.
Fuenmayor,
Okay.
Dylan Remick,
Oh, okay.
Wenger,
Okay.
Saran,
Oh, why?
Cabezas,
Okay.
Tomas,
Okay.
Elise,
Okay.
Kyoto,
Okay.
Manotas, and Steves.
Okay. Oh, it's not, okay. I can see it. No AJD or Beasley in that lineup, though. That's interesting.
Probably because of age.
Yeah, and you figure you're only going to lose one of them. You can't lose two players. You're only going to lose one player. So, I mean, yeah, these are the 13 we're protecting. That doesn't mean we lose every player we don't protect. It just means those are the ones we're protecting.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't disagree with either of those. And I think, to be fair, I don't think there's a 13 out there that, as long as it includes Elise, Kyoto, Cabezas, Fuenmayor, Machado, Tomas,
Right with you, Callum.
and Morrow, I don't really think I can argue with much other than, as long as those 6 are covered, I think 7 are covered. I don't really think I can argue with anybody else that gets protected or is left unprotected.
So Callum's like, I would give them Saran right now if they let me protect the whole team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, I would gladly give up Sarin to protect everybody else on this roster. And to be fair, teams have done that in the past where they'll leave a player unprotected specifically so that another team can pick them. And there's kind of a collusion thing where they're going to okay, I'm leaving this guy unprotected so you can pick him. And that means nobody else is going to, nobody else can pick another team. What this also means, though, is we have two teams that are going to be picking in the MLS draft first.
Yeah.
And second overall, which will be interesting. And I guess we're going to have another one of those casting of lots to find out which of these two teams is going to have the top expansion draft pick, which one's going to have the top draft pick, which one's going to have the top allocation order slot, which one's going to have the top, there's a couple other ones too that are all, 1-2 things that are interesting. Okay, so another interesting thing is with these two teams coming in, interesting divisionally speaking. You've got the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. They could go to either conference. I think they're more East. Both of them are more East than West, but they could absolutely go to either conference. Anyways, okay. So now we've beaten the Dynamo drum into the ground. It's time to talk Houston Dash. I apologize, everybody. Just kidding. Houston Dash are awesome. So again, Rachel Daly got her brace this week. I don't know who scored the third goal. I saw it and I have conveniently forgotten. But somebody scored the third goal for the Dash. I mean, clearly, and they beat the Washington Spirit, which are no slouch of a team. They're a pretty darn good team. That moves the Dash into 5th in the table, which that means they're one slot away from a playoff slot this year. I didn't think I'd be saying that at this point in the season. Now they're 6 points behind. I think the 4th place team.
4th place has
or they're
15,
four
they're
points.
2 points behind.
They're only 2. Oh, that's changed since I last saw it.
Yes. So you got the North Carolina Courage with 26
nobody's
points.
catching them at this point. It seems like.
Seattle Reign with 17. Orlando Pride with 15. Portland Thorns with 15. Houston Dash with 13. Chicago Red Stars with 12.
Okay, so it's pretty tight. So the Dash have to keep winning is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's a very, very, very tight race. I mean, the Dash could easily finish second still. I want to say that there's 16 matches this season, two matches with each team, which is a balanced schedule for the first time ever. So 16 matches. I think that the Dash have played 10 at this point, which means they still have 6 matches.
They've played 11.
11. So they still have 5 matches, which means they still have 15 points. Portland, I think, has only played 9 matches. Seattle's only played 9 matches.
Seattle's played 9. Portland has played 10.
10, okay.
The one who has the least amount of games played is Sky Blue, and they only have 1 point. So, like,
yeah, and we beat them. So even more, like, they kind of suck. Kind of, yeah, they do. And it's kind of funny because they have Carly Lloyd, and they were just supposed to be so much better with Carly Lloyd. I mean, the best player in the world, and they're still crap.
one player doesn't make a team.
You're absolutely right, and I think the Dash learned that this offseason because they got rid of Carly, and they're playing with a team this year, and it shows. Kaya Simon had the other goal, I do believe. Who, by the way, is quickly becoming one of my favorite Dash players, which is no surprise because I was all about her in the offseason. I adore Australians to begin with, and then
It wasn't Kaya Simon.
Who was it?
Kaleo High.
Oh, okay, Leo. Oh, Dutch, she's up for goal of the week. I should have known that. I'm so stupid. That's okay. I'm sure Kaya assisted on one of Daly's goals. I have a feeling that was the case. But again, important note here: the Dash lost Christy Mewis to a knee injury for the rest of the season. That's a heartbreaker too, because she is such an anchor for that team right now, and has been, and she's been playing out of her mind phenomenally well the last couple of matches. So I'm kind of sad to see her get a season-ending injury. But you know what? Kaylia had one last year, and she's come back strong. So, Christy, all the best to you. Good luck in your recovery. Godspeed. And we'll be cheering for you here in Houston, and I hope you're still in Orange next season because I think you're the type of player that the Dash need to put some support behind for long term. And credit to Vera. The system is beginning to show. It's beginning to work. Sorry. That's probably work. Oh, hey, look, it's work. No, it's not work. It's text messages. Even worse. I'm going to mute my phone. Anyways, so that's our quick rundown of the Dash. That took all of 5 minutes. That was great. What do you have?
What do I have? I have no life. So I was a daily double for that game. Yeah, it was daily for the third goal, and Ohio was the second. And Mallory Pugh actually Jane Campbell saved the Mallory Pugh penalty kick, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Oh yeah.
Now it's surprising. It's surprising to me. Going based on what Jacob and I were talking about in Generation Orange last week. It's surprising to me how lately we've been getting some better results from the Dash, especially after this whole fiasco with Eddie Robinson. It was kind of like how were the players going to react? But it seems like they're professional, and they're proving people that they're very professional, and that okay, this happened. All right, we're gonna leave this behind. We got to focus on what's actually on the pitch, and that's what they're doing.
And I want to give credit to the Dash as well, the front office, because they made a trade, and it kind of made me chuckle because they brought back a player that they had, they traded away additional draft picks to get back. at outside back, which was a position they sorely needed depth at. And she is not a depth player. She's a starter, and she's a phenomenal starter in my opinion, and I will always cheer for Chappie. Alyssa Chapman is one of my all-time favorite players. She's a Wolverine at right back. She can play left back as well, which is also good, but she's currently starting at right back. But I just love her tenacity on the pitch. I mean, she's one of the, and it doesn't surprise me the Dash brought her back, considering they've got Eddie Robinson as assistant coach now, because she's an Eddie Robinson type of player. Alyssa's just gonna run the hell out of the game. And she's, like I said, she's tenacious. She's gonna fight tooth and nail to get every ball. And she's a physical player. She doesn't mind getting up and getting physical. She may not be the tallest player, the biggest player on the pitch, or the most physical, the most physical of specimens. But she's got that something that she just, maybe it's an inferiority complex. Maybe it's because she's short, but she will go after you like nobody's business. And she's an awesome person. I'm very happy to have her back, and I didn't realize they had traded for her because I had been off Twitter for so long, and then I look on the pitch and I see Alyssa Chapman, and my eyes went, wait, what? Holy crap, they have Alyssa Chapman. What the heck is going on? And so I did some research, and they traded for her on the 10th of May. Anyways, so enough about the Dash. I know it was a very short Dash segment, but there are... Let's do this. Let's do RGV Express.
Yay! It's what everybody's been waiting for.
You have 12 minutes for RGV Express. We're going to take one final break after RGV Express, and then we're going to open up the phone lines again, which they're still open, so call in, please.
Yes.
But we're going to talk Pro Rel, which means that Callow, you were up at 8:30, just so you know. So you got 11 minutes now. Go.
Okay. So last week's episode, Jacob and I were talking. It wasn't a regular episode. It was more of a town hall kind of style.
Oh, dude, it was fantastic. By the way, I want to say this. You guys need to tune in to Down in the Valley, because that last week, I mean, I listened to it, and so many other people have said this. They really liked the way you guys handled that. It just worked last week. It was phenomenal to listen to. It was well done. Kudos, guys.
Thank you. So basically, we were talking about, okay, so how does we're talking about the relationship between the Dynamo and RGV, whether it's working, whether it's not. And I really appreciated
it. And immediately, the Dynamo start changing the way they handle things.
Well, correlation isn't causation.
No, it's not. But just humorous timing is very humorous.
That is pretty true. But because of that, we didn't really talk a lot about the actual matches that happened before that past week, which were the game against Soul Park Rangers and the game against LA Galaxy 2.
You guys just did your town hall 1 week early, because now you don't have any matches to talk about. You technically could have done the town hall this week.
We could have, but then again, the news would have been really old.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I wanted to get it when the vibe was there.
Yeah. When the anger was still fresh. Yeah. Just be real. Yeah.
And it was funny because I did not have that planned at all.
No,
but I just saw it just became the focus.
Because you were like, okay, we're just gonna kind of go through it and we'll be good. And then people started calling in and just kept calling in and talking. And I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, RGV fans are passionate fans, and that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. But
I think also what I liked about the show, and that's why I love that you were there, is that you play devil's advocate.
I'm always happy to do that.
And so we learned a lot of stuff that I forgot, and others did not even know how it worked. And so we kind of got an understanding, and it also came up, hey, maybe we should have Bert Garcia on the show.
Yes,
give his point of view on how the way things are run. And so we're working on adding more of that stuff.
Interview options. Interview opportunities.
Like I told many people, I want this to be a platform for not only for the fans but also for the team to connect to the fans.
Makes sense.
And to try to minimize any lack of communication and misunderstandings between fans and the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tomorrow we're actually just going to talk a little bit about the Real Monarchs game, since really we don't know who's going to be called. by the Dynamo for the Open Cup match.
And then
but-
watch the Dynamo call up like 5 players tomorrow morning, and you guys have a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah, well, that's going to. But what we are going to talk about is going to take advantage of this kind of lull moment.
Yeah, there you go.
We are going to go. We are going to wet our feet with the World Cup fever.
Oh, snap.
So it'll be Jacob, Ray.
We would talk about World Cup on this show, but I mean, let's be real. The U.S. aren't in it, so who cares? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So be sure to tune in tomorrow for that. But all I pretty much have to say is that
You have 8 minutes, so you have to fill 8 more minutes.
all right, excellent. So the reason why tempers kind of flared up last Thursday.
Yeah, tell me about last episode. Not me, but tell them about last episode.
So basically during the the day before on Wednesday, RGV were winning 1-0 against LA Galaxy 2. You're talking about a team that had scored I don't know how many goals in so many games.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense was on fire. Their defense was utter crap.
What else is there?
But they had a young 15-year-old kid of Efrain Alvarez. Scored a hat trick, and then I think he had like 6 goals in three matches, and so it was going to be interesting to see how they were going to react, and so the Toros are winning 1-0, and then like 10 minutes before the match ended, LA Galaxy 2 get the equalizer goal. So we lose another 2 points there. And so tempers are starting to flare up between the fans. Or, what's going on? Why can't we? Why aren't we able to control the match enough so that way we can get away with a win? I mean, we only have 1 win in the whole season.
Absolutely.
And so, people started analyzing as, hey, well, why did the Dynamo send us 2 defenders when we didn't need them? Okay, so who's really like, and also the fact that, Lundqvist and Jared Watts, they each got 45 minutes each. And so there was this whole mentality of, well, is the Dynamo only looking out for themselves and they're just trying to hurt RGV with these kind of decisions. And so, as temper started to flare up, there was a section of the fans that were calling for independence from the Dynamo, and others, hey,
I mean, it's a valid opinion. It's a valid opinion. No opinion is invalid, but at the same time, like, seriously, come on, guys.
And so I figured, like, hey, you know what? I think it's time, to let the fans kind of talk, in an open forum, what they feel, and kind of get some of their questions answered directly or indirectly from the show. And so that's why Jacob and I is like, hey, you know what, we should do this. And it actually worked. I've had some comments, telling me that, they learned something new from this episode. I actually had a member of the RGVFC front office kind of tell me in private that, they're listening.
Yeah.
They're paying attention to what we talk about on the show.
Yeah.
And that they're actually glad that we did this.
Absolutely.
So, I did not think that was going on.
I told you.
But it is, and I think we're all glad that they're at least paying attention to or listening to what the fans have to say.
It's you have to understand, it's a big deal for them. I mean, media coverage in general is a big deal for any club, especially at the USL level. And for you to be dedicated enough and passionate enough to be running a show, Jacob as well, that's all about, getting the opportunity for information to be shared, to help educate fans one way or the other, to help quell the tide of misinformation, to help address fan concerns, front office concerns, coaching concerns. That's what the front office wants. And I think it's different with the Dynamo because they have other outlets to do the same thing at. But I do think that the Dynamo also appreciate podcasts like this, like Generation Orange. And so it doesn't come as a surprise to me that RGV front office would listen, would pay attention, would be aware. I mean, I can tell you from my experience and from my knowledge that Chris Canetti listens to, well, not himself, but he has people that listen to everything that's out there because they want to know what's being talked about, what's being said. And some of it is you have to control the message. That's a marketing thing. You have to control what the message is about your team, about you. But at the same time, it's not just about controlling the message. It's also about getting their opportunity to say how they feel. And so with that said, Chris, when you happen to hear this, you are welcome to come on and interview with us anytime you want.
Sure.
We can do a phone interview. We can come and do an interview in person. Whatever is comfortable and best for you, we can work with it. It doesn't have to be a live interview. We're more than happy to do a interview, as it works for your schedule. Same thing with, with anybody else from the front office that would like to do an interview. Matt Jordan would always be interesting to get on, although I already know what his responses are because it's the same thing every time. I say that because at the end of the day, I think it's important for people in the Valley to realize that ownership down there does care. The front office down there does care. And I've said that. They care. The difference is that, they only have so much control.
Their hands are tied.
Their hands are very tied. Yeah. Very, very tied. It's not that they don't want to be successful. It's not that they don't want to have a top-tier USL franchise and team. It's that they only have so much control.
Yeah, definitely. And from what I hear, they're trying to alleviate this problem.
Absolutely.
With the Dynamo.
Yeah, they're trying to work it out with the Dynamo and trying to create a relationship, a business relationship, and a technical relationship that works and that allows. You only got 30 minutes, man. Hang in there. You got this. They're trying to build that relationship with the Dynamo. That it is a two-way street. That they're allowed to make suggestions and give their opinions and their thoughts and what they're seeing, and it goes both ways. The Dynamo respect what they have to say, and that they respect what the Dynamo.
Yeah, because right now, literally, the RGV front office has zero input into how things are run. Yep. With squad wise.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, it's again,
it's the way it's been set up.
It's the way it's been set up. The technical staff and the technical management is all handled through the Dynamo staff and front office. It's not handled through RGV's front office. RGV are simply handling and working their marketing and operations and day-to-day stuff. That's another reason why I come back to that. I really wish that Bert Garcia would get on board with the idea of marketing this as the farm team for the Dynamo. Hey, come on out. Instead of, you're not coming out to watch a top tier USL franchise, as much as we'd love to say that. We know better. You're coming out to watch the future of the Houston Dynamo. You're coming out to watch these players that have a possibility to be a MLS MVP at some point.
What might actually work. I'm sorry. I kind of having a hard time.
You're feeling it. I can tell.
Yeah, I think my sister got me sick. But anyways, I think
thanks, sister.
But I think might actually work.
I can do the last 30 minutes, by the way, if you want to go later.
No, I'm good.
You keep saying that, but you keep doing this number.
Is that I think that the Dynamo should have even more exposure of themselves as a team to RGV fans.
Yeah.
That way they can actually have a connection with the Dynamo and say, okay, all right, okay, so we're the farm team for them, but
exactly.
And they care about us enough, to get, be exposed
they need
to them.
One of the things that would help is if the Dynamo did more events down there as the Dynamo, and connected with the fan base as the Dynamo and said, hey, we care about you.
Yeah, because right now is the Dynamo is obviously as far as distance wise, it's 5.5 hours away.
Well, but
the fact there's the separation.
No, I'm gonna throw it back at you. Okay, so this apparently turned into the RGV hour, but let me throw this back at you, and I think this is a good point to make. The Rockets and the Vipers have the same relationship. The difference is
the way the Rockets are exposed in the RGV.
Correct. The other thing is RGV Vipers were already established. So there was already an understanding of what this was going to be. They never proclaimed themselves to be anything more than an NBA D-League team that was the farm team of the Rockets. And so their advertising is all centered around come see the future of the Rockets.
And if you notice the Vipers official account tweets, they're always taught with Capella.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they're always like, look how Capella
Exactly.
is doing with the
Exactly.
Rockets.
Look at this former Vipers player, Zuki, when he went and started playing for the Rockets this year. Same thing. When
Yes.
all the different players that have come through the RGV Viper franchise. I mean, none of them are taking the league by storm, but they're finding ways to.
That's
Is
an
that a
airplane.
plane?
That's an airplane.
Sorry, we both heard the buzz and we looked at this like we almost looked simultaneously at his phone. It was pretty funny. But it's all in how you market it. It really is, and it's all in how you approach it. And to be fair, I actually think that I think Bert is learning a lot on the fly. I think he's having to kind of invent the wheel down there.
Yeah, and realize that the way that the way he ran the Vipers might have worked for basketball, but it's not the same for soccer. And I think he's
starting to see that and understand it. You can tell he's starting to understand it. And I'm hopeful because I think he's smart enough to know that he can't keep trying to push something that's not working.
I'm an RGVSC fans, YouTube, Apple, the iTunes Store, Google Play Store, Stitcher, etc. For our podcast, be sure to check out our articles at downinthерgv.com. And I will let you all know whenever we officialize that Bert Garcia or any RGV player will be on live on the show.
RGV coach or staff. Yeah,
Exactly.
It's important.
I do also want to touch upon the fact in a future episode about RGVFC's Academy.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, well, we're going to go to break so that Edson can go try to collect himself for the next 20 minutes because it's all we need. All right, we're going to break. Cue that music.
A real clockwork soldier.
Generation Orange in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now we are.
And we're back. You're listening to Generation Orange on YouTube Live because Sam Broadcaster sucks. So we actually did get a call during the break. Oh, yeah, he's muted at 4. So we got a call during the break, so we're going to bring him on. But before we bring him on, let's go ahead and preface this discussion. So earlier today, Grant Wall tweeted something out that apparently, or retweeted out, replied to a poll that had been posted regarding ProRel, and apparently it ignited a fire on Twitter. And so Callow, our Generation Orange, unbeknownst to him, roving reporter, is going to fill us in on all the dirty, juicy details, and also give us his take on ProRel in general. And just so everybody knows, I have seen his take on ProRel, and I 100% agree with everything he has to say regarding ProRel. Callow, the floor is yours. Troll away, my friend. Troll away.
So, like, I'm hearing myself through the call, so that's awkward.
That didn't work.
Can we not?
Hold on, I'm gonna try. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this.
Okay.
Can you hear yourself now?
Oh,
I can't hear him. Hold on, wait. Maybe if I try that. Can you hear yourself now?
Yeah.
Dang it.
It's probably one of those buttons over there.
Hold on. But they're all turned. Keep talking, Callow. Don't stop talking.
Hello, hello, hello.
I've tried that one, and that's usually the only one that could be.
I have my stream muted, but it's whatever.
Okay. Sorry.
So as for the tweet, I'm fairly sure we've all seen it. I can't remember what it says. Something to the effect that the MLS should relinquish Division I title. As for that, there is no other league in America that could take the title of Division I, so there's no point in relinquishing it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even then, yeah, like even then, you're thinking like Division I. Who else has a chance, and who would be Division II? It would obviously be USL, right?
At Division II, yeah. I mean, it would have to be USL.
Yeah.
It's not going to be NASL.
Your average.
NASL just had their is provisionally having their Division II status stripped.
Well, basically, NASL is just I've always seen it as like an entertainment league, an exhibition league.
It's the XFL.
So you factor that in, and you look at your average USL stadium. What stadium, aside from RGV, could actually hold an MLS game?
FC Cincinnati, I think, would be just about one of the few that actually could. Edson.
The Nippert Stadium.
Yeah, FC Cincinnati. That's the one.
You've also got. Well, no, because that's an MLS2 team.
Miami FC's could. But that's an ASL.
Yeah, like
that's a college. That's actually a college field.
Well, but
like
I mean,
Cincy's,
to be fair, they're
like Cincy's.
I mean, Minnesota, their first season played in a college stadium. They played in University of Minnesota Stadium.
I think if anything, maybe Al Lang Stadium for the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
I mean, there's just not a lot. That's the point. There's not a lot of stadium infrastructure to support it. Go ahead, Callow.
So that's the point. Yeah, you're going to look at your Division III and Division IV teams, which are basically the teams that start out in the Open Cup, right? Mm-hmm. They're all playing on basically high school football fields.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So, and then so we're going to look at the oldest association football league, which is England, obviously. And you look at their Division II and III stadiums, and they're all in the 25,000 seat range.
Absolutely, which is I mean, we're talking 15,000 more seats than almost every USL stadium.
Yeah. On top of that, they're top tier in their preparation of fields and everything else. So. Yep.
But you kind of hinted at this. I mean, they're the oldest ones, so they've had a lot longer to generate this stadium infrastructure across all of their leagues. And, most of their Premier League teams that are currently in the Premier League, they didn't start there. They've worked their way up.
Even then, they didn't have promotion and relegation when they started. It wasn't a thing for 20, 30 years into the existence.
No, and
So the MLS is right on track for it, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean it can't be, and I mean I think that's the thing that I wish more fans of soccer in general understood is that the U.S. infrastructure when it comes to soccer is not sustainable when it comes to pro rel right now. That's not to say in 10, 15 years from now it's not going to be sustainable, but right now it's not, and it's because it's because of the lower division structure is not sustainable to be able to promote. It's just not.
Yeah, because even
go ahead. Sure, yeah. And then even then, like the travel is an issue. Like you look at countries with pro rel. You look at like England, the UK.
Brazil,
you look at
Colombia.
Italy, Germany. They're all smaller than the state of Texas, or right about the same size as the state of Texas.
Yep. I mean, even in Mexico, we're talking a tenth the size of the U.S. from a geographical standpoint.
And even then, and that's what I was going to head to, is that even Mexico's having problems with promotion relegation right now because of the same issue, because of the infrastructure with stadiums and stuff like that. This year, Lobos WAP, who had technically should have been relegated, paid 120 million pesos
120
to the
million? That's really not much.
For actually it was dollars.
Dollars, yeah. I was going to say it wasn't pesos.
Yeah, it was
pesos,
dollars.
So it's not very much money at all.
$120 million.
Yeah.
In order to maintain themselves into the first division, because the winner or the teams that were in the promotion playoff
they were in the opportunity to be promoted. Had smaller stadiums.
Their infrastructure did not meet Mexican Federation's requirements for Division I status.
Oh, you have to love how that just happened to work out, huh?
Yeah.
So here's the other thing too, and Callow mentioned this just a minute ago. One of the things that the U.S. has that's just totally different from an infrastructure standpoint is a travel issue. I mean, we just don't think about it, but traveling between Seattle and Miami, for instance, I mean that's a long freaking flight. That's like a 7-hour flight. And
not to mention the MLS is actually a multinational organization now.
Absolutely, with Canada as well. And so, I mean, you're talking, I mean, that's just.
Now you're talking travel visas and all that as well.
Yeah. And having to deal with passports just for interleague games. You have to have a passport if you're a Canadian player coming to the U.S., back and forth, and then you have to have your work visa as well and all that. So, I mean, that's a really good call out, by the way, Callow. But travel in general, I mean, we don't think about the expense of travel because it's just, that's operational expenses covered. But if you're a smaller USL club and you're being promoted, Cincinnati could probably handle it. It wouldn't be a big deal. But, other teams that would be on the cusp of promotion, it might be a struggle for them to be able to find the finances to be able to actually make that kind of travel cross country for an entire season, while still providing enough money to pay for players, enough money to pay for a new stadium, enough money to expand their stadium, enough money to pay for infrastructure, marketing, advertising, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It just compounds itself. And, the big thing, and Callow, I really appreciate your call, and I appreciate you calling this out because it's so important that I wish more people would listen. The big reason we can't do pro rel right now is not necessarily that it's not doable. It's that it's not sustainable. We could do it for one season, but as soon as we do it, there's going to be some USL club that gets promoted not that they get relegated, but that they're going to end up folding.
Ready.
They're going to go bankrupt because they're not going to be able to afford the day-to-day operational expenses, and MLS is not going to foot the bill for them.
It would absolutely be a detriment to not only the team being promoted, but the league.
And so I think MLS to some extent is trying to deal with some of that by offering, expansion franchises. I mean, look at Nashville got one, and Cincinnati's got one now, and a couple other places. But they want to be that geographical top tier, U.S. League, and I think at this point it's clear to say that they are. But I do think that they're going to have to work with USL to help USL build out that infrastructure over the next 5 to 10 years in preparation for there being some kind of something that works related to pro rel. It doesn't have to be pro rel specific. They can do it like Mexico did it, where there's you have your playoff between your two teams that get promoted and your two teams that get relegated. And I think that's doable within 10 to 15 years. but it requires both leagues coming together. It requires the U.S. Soccer Federation opening themselves up to the idea. But it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. They're going to have to find a way to figure out how it's going to work. I would love to get some kind of competition. Supporter Shield is just, nobody cares about it anymore. They really don't. Like TFC did because it was their thing, but it's such a overhyped thing. Like Supporter Shield, whoa, yay, we had the best record in MLS. Like it just doesn't hold the same value. But if Pro-Rel or if the bottom 2 teams or bottom 4 teams are fighting it out to see who stays up, I mean, that does hold some value. I don't know how you fix that without Pro-Rel currently. But, you have your teams that sit at the bottom of the league season in and season out. And, I don't know what it's going to take for MLS to overcome that hurdle until Pro-Rel is there.
So it's interesting you pointed out that maybe they should look for an alternative that's not exactly Pro-Rel. And I read an article that Ray sent me last week. I didn't even get a chance to talk about it during the show. But it has something to do because of USL D3 that they are planning on making like a trial run on something similar to Pro-Rel between USL D2 and USL D3.
We talked about that not long ago.
So kind of like make a trial. Maybe if it's successful, they might try to implement something before that involves MLS as well.
Yeah, but again, going back to Callow's original point, I mean they're going to have to improve their infrastructure in USL either way.
Yes.
Your USL, I mean, USL can handle it because their crowds aren't really that big, typically speaking. So it's not as hard for them to have a USL Division 3 team get promoted to USL Division 2. But it's still the question of, that jump between Division 2 and Division 1 is a massive gap right now. And I think that's where USL needs its biggest improvement is, and maybe Pro-Rel in USL between USL 3 and USL 2 will work.
I would actually take that a step further down. I would actually start with some of the semi-pro leagues and seeing if we couldn't get those into a Pro-Rel system and develop a fourth tier underneath USL 3.
Yeah, PDL and NPSL.
Yeah, it might be interesting to see NPSL involved in this, but it would have to take talks between both leagues.
Well, and I mentioned this as a possibility, something that we probably should consider that could be something that comes out of this is maybe a geographic type promotion relegation where it's not necessarily the bottom 2 teams that are relegated or the top 2 teams that are promoted, but the top team from each conference, from each geographic side of the country, because that'll help reduce travel. That's going to help deal with those balancing, going up and going down. Along with a few other things. And one of the things that I think is going to be interesting is here, Cal, here's a good one for you to think about and something I don't think any of us have thought about. But if Pro-Rel does happen, let's say that USL figures it out and we get we have a Division 4 and it's NPSL/PDL combined. We have Division 3, which is USL's second division. We have USL Division 1, which is their division, which is USSF's Division 2. And then we have MLS. So, you mentioned that MLS is a multinational league. So where do the Canadian teams come from?
Well, Canada actually is starting their own Premier Division or Premier League.
I know, but are they going to be able to catch up to put themselves in that conversation for Pro-Rel?
It's going to take time.
It's going to take time, but it's an interesting thing to think about because does that leave the Canadian league lagging behind as USL expands and solidifies itself and fortifies itself in the lower division in the middle tier? Is the Canadian Premier League, are they Division 3 maybe, and then USL is Division 2 and Canadian teams rejoin Division 2? I mean, there's a lot of questions that are going to have to be answered if that's the route they go. Or
you're going to have to split them up and put a Division 2 Canadian or those 3 Canadian spots or 4 Canadian spots, however many days.
And you got to consider this. I mean, that's if they have enough teams to be able to do that. I mean, they're only talking 6, I think, teams to start with. And so that's going to be, it's going to take time. You're absolutely right. It's going to take time, but it's something that Pro-Rel people need to think about. We view MLS as a US based league, But you are absolutely right when you say it's a multinational league. This is a league that covers two countries, and two large geographical countries at that. Canada's by no slouch of its own when it comes to geography. But I just think we tend to forget about Canada and their contributions to MLS. Even though TFC were the best team last year, we still tend to forget their contributions. I don't know how this all shakes out. I mean, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't predict the future. But I think there are conversations to be had around it. And I appreciate, Callow, your willingness to address it, in a way that makes sense, and willing to be open to it, but open to it in a way that's, open to it with a intelligence behind it, and not just open to it for the sake of being open to it. By God, we need Pro-Rel because it's Pro-Rel, and nothing's going to be right until we have Pro-Rel. I'm looking at you, Ted Westervelt.
We just need to take a step back and look at it. Like, we just need to look at a league, a much younger league like Bundesliga, which will tell us how to get there.
You're absolutely right. And I think MLS is watching those other leagues to see what the progression train is going to be, to see, where the faults lie and how they need to progress. And I think we tend to forget how young MLS is in general. I mean, it's less than 20 years old, and I think we tend to forget that. It's crazy to think how young the league is. But with that said, Callow, do you have anything else to add?
I am good.
Awesome. Well, Callow, thank you very much for calling in. Edson's like dying over here. He's tanking hardcore. It's that medicine, man. You'll go to lay down and go to bed, and you'll wake up in the morning, you'll be like, all right, that was good. That was really good. Anyways, well, Callow, thank you very much for joining. We appreciate it, man. You're welcome to call anytime. I'm so glad your bowling league is over. We appreciate your takes. They're always awesome, even if most of the time they're trolling us in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, later, Callow, you can hit the end call button, and he can go right now.
All right, take care.
Thanks
dude.
for having me.
Yep,
Yeah, no
later,
problem.
Callow. Thank you again for calling in. We appreciate it. But I just appreciate that thought process behind what Callow had to say. It's important to remember, I think, and this is true for MLS, true for Dynamo fans, Dash fans, RGV fans, and I think you were starting to see it with RGV. Sometimes you have to take a deep breath, and you have to take a step back, and you have to look at the big picture. You can't look at it as a radical hardcore fan up close in the middle of it. Sometimes you have to remove that emotional component out of it. And I think that's what Callow brought there. I mean, it really was. He removed the emotional component out of it. He took a look at Pro-Rel. He gave us the reality of what's going on, what's capable. And the infrastructure thing is absolutely by far the biggest issue that is going to be a huge hurdle to overcome. It's going to take time. That's what we got out of that. It's going to take time. And I do think MLS ultimately does want to go to some form of Pro-Rel. I just don't know if they're ready. I don't know if they're going to be ready in 5 years. I do think they could be ready in 10 to 15 years. But they still have a long, long way to go before they get there. With that said, you know what? We're going to end a few minutes early because Edson is just tanking hardcore. I wish we had video this week so everybody could just watch you just like fading fast. Edson's had a bad week, obviously, or at least a bad day, getting sick.
And it didn't help that yesterday was such a long, grueling day.
That was a long drive.
Yeah, so drove 3 hours.
Well, at least you weren't watching the Rockets.
Well, I was listening to them. So I drove 3 hours from Monterrey to Reynosa, 2 hours waiting on the international bridge.
Well, that's your problem. You went from high altitude to no altitude.
And then from McAllen, I only took like an hour nap, and then from McAllen
at home
to Houston.
Did
Yeah,
you nap at home. Yeah. So, all right, Edson. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and close the show out. I don't have anything else to add, so we'll go ahead and close it. Guys, if you have takes, you want to talk about anything we talked about during the week,
Discord chat.
Yeah, you can hit us up in the Discord chat, or you can also hit us up on Twitter at Gen Orange Radio. That's GEN Orange Radio. It's pretty easy to remember, guys. We have our Twitter account. It's pretty fantastic, by the way. And we will have a website in the next few weeks. We will have our Stitcher stuff set up. We'll have all that good stuff going on. And maybe we'll set up an actual YouTube channel for ourselves as well. In the interim, you can always check us out, our YouTube audio feeds, as we do more of these, I think, like this, because I kind of like this style.
Yeah.
We might do this going forward until we can figure out what the hell to do with Sam Broadcaster, because it sucks. Spatial, if you're listening, you suck, you suck, you suck. with that, it's been a good week. Here's to 2 more Dynamo victories coming this week. And here's to a Dash victory this week.
And an RGV victory on Monday.
Next week.